Pokemon Discord version, Arc 7, Beneath the Shade, Siren City Chronicles, Ephraim Lightsworn POV, Part 3. Crash! Smack! Slam! Creatures like you will always be inferior to my kind. Yeah! Says Ephraim as he intercepts an attacking Nidoking's arm thrust. He grips the Nidoking's arm using his Secrets of Nature ability with one hand, holding the massive Pokemon in place. The Nidoking screams in pain as Ephraim rips its arm completely off and kicks Nidoking in the chest, sending it flying back into the other two Nidoking that fought against Ephraim. That's what I thought. Ephraim says as he finally exits the main path of the Nameless Cavern. As he steps outside of the cave into the sunlight, he notices more of the footprints that led him to the Nameless Cavern in the first place. He jumps down and slides down the ledge onto the path below the path he was on. It was clear to him that Blythe went a completely different way through the cave, but came out on the other side nonetheless. Ephraim kneels down and scoops the imprinted dirt with his hand and examines it closer. Blythe, where did you go? He says as he ponders his younger brother's whereabouts. Go, Noibat! Scan the area for Blythe and return to me with haste. Ephraim was an expert tracker and would dedicate himself to retrieving and extracting his little brother upon the request of his father. He knew that he would not be able to return home empty-handed, so failure was not an option for him. The sunset burned an orange-yellow glow as he carried on down the burnt dirt path that led from the Nameless Cavern all the way to Siren City. His journey through the Nameless Cavern was not an easy one. However, Ephraim wasn't going to rest until his mission was completed. Even though he was exhausted, he pressed on and eventually made his way to the volcanic plains that were covered in blood and ash. The more he walked, the more the sun began to sink beneath the horizon and darkness began to fall. Noibat had returned to Ephraim and brought him a used dagger with gunpowder residue on it. Gunpowder daggers. Just like that child who battled Blythe. This is a good find, my friend. Thank you for your services. Ephraim said as he returned Noibat to its Pokeball. Now I know they were here for sure. With Blythe's Secrets of Nature footprints in that child's dagger, there's no mistaking it. Those boys are headed for Siren City. Idiots. Don't they know what goes on there? Ephraim says to himself. The sun was almost completely gone, and Ephraim knew he wouldn't be able to continue through the plains in the dark. His elders already warned him about traveling vast, desolate areas at night. The Secrets of Nature ability is one of the most unique and rare combat styles the world has ever seen. However, the Secrets of Nature cannot be used all of the time. This ability was one that required an extraordinary amount of solar power in order to charge itself. Usually 1 or 2 hours of constant sunlight exposure would grant the user enough energy to last throughout the day. With more experienced users, they were able to use it for a few hours throughout the night. Ephraim was already aware of his weaknesses, so he wouldn't dare to test the waters. He was never one to take unnecessary risks, so he began to sprint at full speed, using what little sunlight he had left to fuel his Secrets of Nature, allowing him to run up to at least 40 miles per hour. As he scrambled to desperately try to make it into some kind of sheltered area, he tore up the ground beneath him with every heavy energy-infused step. The Pokemon around him scrambled to get to safety as he ran past them, almost as if they were avoiding a stampede. Soon, after running for about 10 minutes, he could make out Siren City in the distance. Almost there! Come on! He yelled as he picked up his pace to about 48 miles per hour. He almost seems like a lightning bolt as he dashes towards the city quickly. Finally, he makes it to the border of Siren City. Ephraim was well aware of the city that was before him, so he knew the dangers that would await him inside. And with this knowledge, he decided he was going to have to sneak in. Yeah! Ephraim picked up to full speed as he approached the giant walls of Siren City and used his Secrets of Nature to run straight up the wall and ran all the way until he reached the top. Using his last bits of energy, Ephraim launches himself onto a guard post at the top of the wall that surprisingly had no guard. Not as secure as I thought it would be, he said as he successfully infiltrated the city before his energy was completely depleted. Now, I won't be able to walk freely around this city without a disguise of some kind, he said to himself as he entered the doorway with stairs that led down into the Team Rocket Guard barracks. As he descended the stairway, he made sure to muffle his footsteps in order to maintain maximum stealth. He was getting close to the bottom when he heard talking and saw shadows on the wall, indicating there were enemy sentries at a close proximity. He pressed himself as flat as he could against the wall that covered the stairway and peeked around the corner briefly. In that brief moment, he saw two Team Rocket guards conversing and drinking ale. He listened into their conversation for a moment, for he knew he would have to be patient in order to make any progress.
"Can you believe Kaz Yamura actually tried sneaking into the city?"
said one of the Rocket guards to the other as he sips his ale.
"Yeah, Byron already told me that story. That asshole Kaz is out of his mind coming in here like that. He could have been killed. Why didn't they just put the little loser out of his misery?"
said the other Rocket guard.
"That's what I was thinking too. I wouldn't have bothered throwing him out if I was them. He's just going to keep fucking up if we let him live. How did someone like that even become a part of Team Rocket anyway?"
said the first Rocket guard.
"No one knows, but I'm pretty sure we just keep him around because he's the most entertaining failure we've ever seen. Someone who isn't even worthy of tasting our steel. I can't help but to feel bad for him sometimes,"
said the second Rocket guard.
"What? Feel bad for him? Come on now, man. Don't tell me you're getting soft on me now. Are you going to become friends with him or something?"
said the first Rocket guard.
"Shut up, man. At least I didn't pass out drunk and piss my pants in front of everyone like you did that one time,"
said the second Rocket guard.
"I told you not to talk about that anymore. Shut the hell up,"
said the first Rocket guard. Ephraim grew tired of their juvenile conversation and decided, even in his weakened state, he would be able to take these two without alerting any other guards. As he began to unsheath his dragonic short swords, he heard one of the guards begin to start vomiting. He knew this was his chance. The second Rocket guard puked his guts out.
"Ah! What the fuck, man? Sick! You heard all over my boots! Come on!"
the first Rocket guard said as he left to go clean off his vomit-covered boots. The second guard was now alone with Ephraim and was hunched over his own pile of vomit, for he was sick from drinking too much. Ephraim took this opportunity to quietly lunge out of the shadows and slit the guard's throat with haste. The guard made only minimal gurgling sounds as he fell forward into the puddle of his own blood and vomit. He was so drunk he didn't even know what hit him. Ephraim decided not to take the guard's vomit and blood-covered armor. Instead, he looked over at a coat rack and saw many different cowls and cloaks he could easily conceal his identity with. Perfect, Ephraim says as he puts on a long black cloak that covered his head with a hood and his face with a cowl cover, leaving only his eyes exposed. This would surely get him through for the time being. Ephraim then quickly continued down another set of stairs as he walked past the other Rocket guard, who was also intoxicated, so he didn't even bat an eye at Ephraim. He remained undercover as he slipped out of the guard barracks undetected and made his way into the nighttime city streets, in search of lodging for the night so he could rest. He travels the streets easily, for the nighttime in Siren City was significantly less crowded than the daytime. After walking for about 20 minutes, he eventually finds himself at an expensive-looking inn that he checks himself into with no problems. The innkeeper was a Team Rocket member that eyed Ephraim down suspiciously.
"What brings you to my inn, traveler?"
he says to Ephraim. "I need a room for the night, Sir Innkeeper. I trust that this will suffice?" Ephraim says as he drops a hefty sack of gold coins on the bar counter, attempting to bribe the innkeeper and keeping his mouth shut. The innkeeper's eyes light up as he looks at Ephraim and says,
"Right this way, sir."
Even in a world as desolate as this one, money still talks, and for members of the Dragon Clan, money wasn't an issue. As Ephraim follows the innkeeper down the lit-up hallway lined with luxury rooms, the innkeeper stops at the smallest room on the aisle and says, "Take it or leave it." Ephraim only sighs and snatches the key from the innkeeper's hand. He then unlocks the door to his room and makes his way in, closing the door behind him and locking it tight. The room was small, but at least he was fortunate enough to find an innkeeper he could bribe, so Ephraim wasn't complaining. He looks around the room and sees a fluffy twin-sized bed with a mahogany dresser and wardrobe, as well as a long mirror on the wall. Ephraim removes his cowl and cloak, hanging it in the wardrobe neatly. He begins to put his gear into the dresser, then lays down in his bed. Now, to get some rest. I'll continue my search in the morning. Blythe, I hope you're okay, you dumbass, he says to himself as he gets comfortable and begins to drift off and eventually falls asleep. Ephraim wakes up bright and early and leaves the inn with haste. As he steps out of the inn's doors, he notices many people walking about, mostly Team Rocket guards and important-looking merchants that inhabit the streets. The smell of smoke and pollution drifted heavily through the city air and filled Ephraim's nostrils. Ephraim begins his search by scanning the area for someone who he might be able to bribe or intimidate for answers. His priority, of course, was finding Blythe, but he knew that he needed to go about this with extreme caution. Ephraim was powerful, but he was also wise, and he was well aware that if he brought unnecessary attention to himself, he could easily find himself in the Siren City prison tower or dead. He walked and walked until he found an area of the city that was less crowded. As he continued, he found himself walking down a dark alleyway. This alleyway was only dark because of the tall skyscrapers that blanketed the overhead view and blocked out the sunlight. Ephraim felt uneasy as he walked further down the crooked, darkened alley. As he walked deeper into the alley, the sound of the busy city faded slowly, and the feeling of paranoia took over. Wind blows ominously. Ephraim is now far enough down this long-stretched alleyway where he felt as if he was no longer alone. He could hear something in the distance that sounded like it was coming from a basement entrance that led underground. It sounded like a crowd jeering and talking loudly all at once, almost as if a competition of some kind was going on. He hears the crowd roaring as he gets closer to the cellar door in the distance. I wonder what the hell's going on here. He wondered to himself as he walks up to the closed double doors that were vertically placed into the ground. He tries to pull the doors open and is unsuccessful because they were locked up tight. Damn, maybe there's another way in. I need to get in there. I'm sure there's someone in this sketchy place who will give me some information under the table, one way or another. Ephraim says to himself as he surveys the area for any kind of alternate entrance into this place. Slide. Creak. Suddenly the door clicks unlocked and the doors slowly open, revealing a mysterious man with his face covered by a cowl, dressed all in black just like Ephraim.
Ah, you must be the next competitor. You're late, you fucking scoundrel. Get in here. The last fight just ended. Your time to shine is now, superstar.
The mysterious man said to Ephraim as he grabbed him by the arm and drug him into the double doors that closed heavily behind them. It happened so quickly that Ephraim didn't even have time to reply or react. He only followed the mysterious man into the cellar and played along, for he knew this was the only way he was getting into this place. Ephraim followed the mysterious man as they walked through the huge crowd of disgusting vagrants who littered the cellar and cheered loudly as chanted impatiently for the next fight. Who am I fighting? Said Ephraim, trying to sound confident like he belonged there.
What are you talking about, superstar? You know who you're fighting. The reigning champion Mavos, of course. Remember? You were hired to kill this bastard once and for all. You see, we've been sick and tired of this guy ruining the competition. The show's got dull with no other contenders wanting to face this maniac in fear of dying and all. Not you, though. You're a special mercenary from Team Rocket, ain't you? I trust you'll be able to take this fucker out no problem, eh? We paid good money to have you here, so you'd better come through for us, you hear? Said the mysterious man to Ephraim. Of course. I'm the best of the best. No small-time nobody's gonna be able to stop me. You'll get your money's worth. Just show me to the cage. Said Ephraim, trying to convince the man that he was this big-time Team Rocket merc. Right. Well, let's just hope so. If not, you're gonna die here, buddy. By the way, you never told us your name. Any particular reason for that? What's your name, superstar? Said the man to Ephraim. Playing along with his part, Ephraim looks at the man and says, The name's Vicer, Team Rocket Elite Black Ops Mercenary. Ephraim remained with a calm expression on his face as the mysterious man nodded and led him to the cage where the fight would take place. Ephraim's thoughts. Vicer? That's the best name I could come up with? Damn it.
What the hell have I gotten myself into? Good thing that buffoon bought into my act. But what about the actual merc that they hired? I hope he's a no-show. Otherwise, I'll have another fight on my hands. This is a reckless plan, but I'm in too deep to back out now. This better be worth it. By winning this fight, I'll prove my dominance and gain the respect of everyone here. Doing this will surely get me the information I need. Out of everyone here, someone is bound to have seen those boys, if they've been through this godforsaken city. Let's just hope I have what it takes to win this fight. I need to hold back. I don't want much attention on me. I'll be made real quick if I use my secrets of nature too much. I'll only use it if I need to. Time to win this fight. As Ephraim steps into the cage, he looks around at the vagrants that wildly jeer and spit while they hang onto the edges and flail about as they yell at the combatants. He looks forward and notices his opponent, Mavos the champion, who stood there, still and eerily, staring at Ephraim with a cold expression through the white phantom mask he wore on his face. Mavos wore a long black cape and black padded armor underneath, with his arms crossed. He appeared to have two medium-length blades attached to his arms that he used as his primary weapons. Above him floating was the feared ghost-type Pokemon Dusknoir, as well as 3 more Pokeballs that lined his belt. This opponent that stood before Ephraim was certainly not going to be easy to defeat, though Ephraim knew losing was not an option, so he quickly formulated an attack strategy while drawing his 2 dragon katana blades. Something about you. Something is different about you. Your energies are vastly different compared to all of the other swine that challenged me. Who are you? Asked Mavos the champion. Telling you who I am won't matter because you'll be dead soon. So let's just get this over with, said Ephraim, trying to sound menacing. You certainly are a brave one, aren't you? Fine, have it your way, Mavos says to Ephraim as he lunges forward with his arm blades first. Ephraim quickly blocks Mavos' assault with his katanas. As they lock in, Mavos smiles a sinister smile as his Dusknoir appears behind Ephraim, reaching its arms out, attempting to drag Ephraim into the giant razor-teeth mouth on its torso. Ephraim quickly charges his energies and kicks Mavos back with a devastating front kick. As Mavos flies back, he catches himself and regains his footing. Yes, that's the energy I felt before. Use it more. Show me your true power, he yells to Ephraim from across the stage. Ephraim quickly evades the Dusknoir and summons his Noibat. As he does this, he looks into the crowd for a moment as someone catches his eye. Someone who sticks out above the rest of the vagrants and addicts. This person that Ephraim notices is leaned against the wall all the way in the back of the place. His eyes glow a bright blood red and black fire appears to come from his back and shoulders, yet no one else in the whole entire place seemed to notice him. As the figure stood there leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, he looked directly at Ephraim and appeared to be staring into his soul. Ephraim quickly focused his attention back on the fight. Noibat, Dragon Pulse! He says to his Noibat as it unleashes a destructive wave of energy and makes contact with the Dusknoir, effectively damaging it well enough for Ephraim to make some headway on Mavos. Oh, a dragon Pokemon, huh? Now that certainly is rare. How did you come across it? Not many people in the world are able to tame or even find dragon Pokemon. You are a rare specimen indeed, said Mavos to Ephraim as they continued to clash blades back and forth. You talk too much, said Ephraim as he charges his energies and deflects Mavos' arm blades and goes in for a direct attack. Ephraim's attack was stopped by Dusknoir, who appeared just in time to save Mavos, using the move Shadow Sneak. Too slow, said Mavos as he continued to attack Ephraim. Noibat, finish off the Dusknoir! Use Dark Pulse! Said Ephraim as Noibat unleashes another more sinister wave of dark energies at the Dusknoir, successfully fainting the deadly ghost once and for all. No! Dusknoir! Mavos says as he returns his Dusknoir to its Pokeball and steps back to collect his thoughts for a second. Wow, this guy's the real deal, said someone from the crowd. Stop holding back! Show me your true power, said Mavos to Ephraim. Go, Gengar! He said as he summoned his next Pokemon. As Gengar appears with a cruel, evil smile, Ephraim continues to charge up his secrets of nature, preparing for an even more intense battle. Swoosh! Suddenly the Gengar disappeared into thin air. Huh? Ephraim felt the presence of Gengar as it was only inches away from the back of his neck. Ephraim quickly slices behind him, then beside him, then the other side of him. Ephraim is swinging his blades wildly, trying to hit this Gengar that continues to disappear and reappear just as quickly, seemingly playing games with Ephraim. Noibat! Dark Pulse, one more time! He says, desperately trying to extinguish this tricky Gengar while still blocking and striking with Mavos blade to blade. Give up! You won't be able to win this fight! Mavos says as his Gengar swiftly dodges Noibat's Dark Pulse attempts. Gengar! Sludge Bomb! Mavos calls to his Gengar as it lets out a vile mass of toxic energies that connects with the Noibat, causing it to faint. Noibat! Ephraim says as he returns Noibat to its Pokeball while still holding off Mavos' assault. At this point, Ephraim tried his best to summon his next Pokemon, Shelgon, but it failed in each attempt to reach his Pokeball from his belt, for Gengar had rejoined Mavos in trying to murder Ephraim. Striking over and over again, the battle was looking dim for Ephraim as it went on. Ephraim's thoughts. No, this is bad. If I keep holding back like this, I won't be alive long enough to win this fight. I have no choice. I need to use my secrets of nature to its fullest extent. As Ephraim pondered to himself on what would happen if he was discovered to be a member of the Dragon Clan, panic and fear took over his mental state. It was out of character for Ephraim to panic or feel any form of fear. If he didn't act now, he would surely die by the hands of Mavos and Gengar. Now Ephraim and Mavos were locked into an intense blade block, while Gengar bit into Ephraim's shoulder, injecting him with a ghostly venom. Ah! Ephraim yells out in pain as the venom weakens him severely. Mavos laughed maniacally as he knew it was over for Ephraim. Desperately, Ephraim began charging his secrets of nature before it was too late, for he knew now he had no other choice. Yeah! As Ephraim charges his secrets of nature, an immense aura of light shined from his body and illuminated the whole place. Ephraim's eyes began to glow a golden yellow-greenish energy as his cowl and cloak fell from his body, revealing his true identity to everyone in the place. The crowd stopped and stared in awe as Ephraim charged his heroic energies, and Gengar is ejected from his back and is instantly vaporized from literally tasting the secrets of nature energies. Mavos stares in pure fear as Ephraim's energy-cloaked katanas completely sliced through his arm blades and left them shattered to pieces. What? No! I knew you were an outsider! What is this ability you use? Stay back! Stay back! Mavos says as Ephraim charges him blades first and slices completely through him, ripping Mavos' torso diagonally, exposing his innards. As Mavos' organs fall from his freshly sliced body, they hit the ground with a sickening thud that can be heard throughout the almost completely silent underground cellar. Ephraim wipes the blood from his blades quickly and sheaths them as he looks around at the crowd that now stares at him with anger and disgust. The mysterious man that had mistaken Ephraim for a mercenary earlier ran up to the cage and said, "Hey, you're not Team Rocket! You're part of the ancient Dragon Clan! I've seen this energy used before a long time ago. We don't take kindly to you stuck-up dragon dicks. Kill him!" he said as he fired up the crowd into a mad frenzy. The vagrants of the crowd then began unsheathing weapons and slowly walked towards Ephraim into the cage, ready to kill. Ephraim grabs the hilts of his blades ready for combat and gets into stance. "Wait! Just listen to me! I'm not here to fight any of you. I'm looking for someone. Anyone who can give me the information I need will be generously compensated," Ephraim said desperately, trying to avoid a brawl to the death with the 40 or 50 vagrants that now surrounded him on all sides.
Nobody needs your dragon money, boy. Plus, once we kill your ass, we're gonna take everything you got anyways. Get 'em, boys!
One of the vagrants yelled in response to Ephraim's proposition. Ephraim gulps and grips his blades as the vagrants get closer to him cautiously. Whoosh! Slice! Ah! 4 vagrants yell out in pain as something dashes from behind the crowd and slices effortlessly through them. "Huh? Who the hell are you?" says Ephraim in shock as the red-eyed man he noticed earlier is now back to back with Ephraim, wielding a large, sinister blade. "Now's not the time for Q&A, kid. Get down!" says the red-eyed young man as he slices through the necks of 2 more vagrants that tried to run up and attack Ephraim, effectively beheading them. Ephraim then charges his secrets of nature and cloaks himself completely. Ah! Now Ephraim's energies were powered up to maximum potency.
Secrets of nature, huh? Let's hope you know how to use it, kid.
Says the red-eyed man as he slashes through another couple of vagrants, still back to back with Ephraim. Ephraim yells as he unleashes a flurry of energy-cloaked attacks, taking out multiple vagrants with a devastating smashing of bone and cartilage. Ephraim runs towards the cage wall, cutting the heads off of 2 vagrants in the process. He then runs up the wall and backflips onto the shoulders of another vagrant, planting his blades into the top of his head as he lands. Then, Ephraim flips off of the dying vagrant's shoulders and lands on the ground, crouching low. As more vagrants approach, he spin sweeps the legs of all 4 vagrants that currently surround him, taking them all down as his sweep kick essentially obliterates their legs from the kneecaps down, leaving them immobilized and unable to continue fighting. It isn't over yet, for Ephraim then dodges 2 oncoming blade strikes from a couple more vagrants by diagonally flipping through the air and landing heavily on 2 other vagrants, crushing their skulls into their necks. "There's too many of them," Ephraim says to the red-eyed man as he moves back to back with him again.
Too many, huh? You finished already, kid? I guess it's time we even the odds.
The red-eyed man says as he smiles a wicked half-smile. He then hangs his sword and shield on his back and holds one of his hands out with his palm facing the remaining vagrants. They all stop in their tracks as everything becomes cold and still. The vagrants begin to shake and become more weary as they stare into the glowing red eyes of the young man. Fear and uncertainty begin to waft over the vagrants as their vision becomes blurry and their ears become deaf. Ephraim feels the coldness as he waits patiently and watches at what will happen next. To him, it's almost as if despair itself filled the air around the vagrants. Soon the vagrants all dropped their weapons as they became entranced into a mesmerized state of dissociative awareness. At once, they all dropped their weapons. The sound of steel hitting the ground reverberates throughout the cellar. "What? What's going on, man? What's wrong with them?" Ephraim asks the red-eyed young man.
Just pay attention, kid. This is art,
replied the red-eyed young man to Ephraim. A couple more unnerving, eerie moments go by as the red-eyed young man holds his arms up as if he was conducting an orchestra.
Stars hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires.
The red-eyed young man says as he brings his arms down dramatically. As he does this, the entire group of vagrants begin choking and wheezing while still standing straight up. Their eyes begin to become more bloodshot than ever, and their heads flail unnaturally, front to back and side to side. The scene was incredibly unnerving. Ephraim watched in horror, feeling true terror for the first time in his life. The vagrants' heads continued to flail violently and unnaturally, picking up speed with every moment that went by. The sounds they made added to the horrific nature of the current situation, cracking, choking, and wheezing as if they were in pain but could not move or speak.
It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. All full of scorpions in my mind,
the red-eyed young man says as the choking and wheezing grew louder and more nauseating.
Confusion now hath made his masterpiece,
the red-eyed young man says loudly as he raises his arms up with one quick crescendo. Suddenly, with the waving of the young man's arms, all of the vagrants' heads burst open and splatter in a series of grotesque explosions that coated the whole cellar with blood and brain matter. Ah! Ephraim fell backwards and screamed as he witnessed this horrific event caused by the red-eyed young man. The red-eyed young man laughed maniacally as he disappeared into darkness and the cellar doors opened for Ephraim. The red-eyed young man's voice carries over.
Go now, Ephraim Lightsworn. Your brother is close by, though he is not within the city walls. Your journey will become clear to you as you continue down the path that you're on. You did good here, kid. That was quite the performance. You used the secrets of nature well. Keep it up, and remember to pay close attention to your surroundings. I'll be seeing you soon enough.
Ephraim was still sitting on the ground in complete shock from what had happened. What the hell was that? Who are you? He yelled at the now absent red-eyed young man, as the young man's voice manifested itself once more.
Right, I almost forgot. When you see Blythe, tell him Anzu sent you.
After he said this to Ephraim, his voice dissipated for good. Anzu? Ephraim says out loud as he picks himself up and dusts off his armor and tries to find his cloak and cowl to conceal his identity again. I need to get out of here now, Ephraim says as he covers himself and makes his way back out into the streets of Siren City. It was late now and the sun was setting. As he walked back through the dark alleyway, it was even darker now. He walked past a mutilated corpse that wasn't there before when he came through initially. It looked pretty mangled, like something decimated, whoever it was, almost immediately after Ephraim got there. Could this guy be the actual Team Rocket mercenary that they hired? Did Anzu do this too? What is wrong with that guy? He says to himself as he gazes upon the tarnished corpse of that rocket merc. Ephraim made his way through the city streets and realized he couldn't go back to the same inn he stayed in the previous night, so he decided he would try to find somewhere more secluded and less obvious since he had already spent some time here now. He eventually found his way to the old sketchy-looking inn that Kaz had found himself in the previous day. This place looks like the most undercover place in the whole city. This will suffice for tonight. As he walked into the inn, he immediately noticed a freshly ripped open corpse hanging from the ceiling. He then let out a huge sigh. I guess I really don't have a choice. Ephraim locked the doors behind him and then began to clear all of the rooms, making sure he had no unwanted guests that would sneak up on him later. He quickly realized he was all alone except for this one room with extra insulation between the walls, which held about 30 different rotting corpses. What the fuck happened here? Seriously, I'm getting pretty fucking sick of dead bodies and shit. Ephraim said angrily as he slammed the door shut and found his way to a clean room with a decent enough bed to rest for the night. Ephraim's thoughts. I guess I can't say today was uneventful. I'm going to find you tomorrow, Blythe. I promise. What did that Anzu guy mean by my journey will become more clear to me as I continue down the path I'm on? I suppose I'll find out eventually. For now, I need to get some rest. I didn't expect that to take up my whole day, but at least I have a lead now. How did Anzu know my name? Better yet, how did he know my brother Blythe's name? Does Blythe have something to do with that sick bastard? Many questions without answers flooded Ephraim's mind as he began to fall asleep. He knew Anzu would be an asset to him, but he didn't know if he could trust him as of yet. Ephraim decided to play it by ear, as time would reveal the answers to his many, many questions.